Hey everyone, this is my first Q&A video based on questions on my Facebook page. I wanted to do it to be closer to the audience. But first, shameless self-promotion. I'm doing a voice acting series on the independent game The Black Heart on my other channel. It's like a big old dub. If you'd like to watch that, that'd be great. And I also need a few more voice actors to finish it. So like, if any of you are interested and you have good mic quality, check it out. Some people ask multiple questions, but I'll only answer one per person. Does she got a booty? She do? Well, you better let the poor thing out! I guess so. Are you left-handed, right-handed, or ambidextrous? I'm left-handed, and I have some struggles with that, and, well, a lot of left-handed people, they just kind of develop some small form of ambidexterity, mainly because things are made for right-handed people, like using a mouse, or there was one time I had to drive a stick shift. The first time I was learning to drive, that was terrifying. Because the stick is on your right side. Goku or Superman, who do you prefer and why? Well, that's not really a question I can answer. Because, like, writers, it's like, only Akira Toriyama has written for Goku, and, like, hundreds of writers have written for Superman. I don't know. They seem to have a similar problem where, like, they're not particularly interesting, and they're kind of defined by how powerful they are. I guess Goku is cool because, like, he likes to train a lot, while Superman is just like, I'm powerful, and occasionally he gets training. This is kind of a big issue lately, because, like, it's like a Western versus Eastern nerd clash, and, my input on that, Superman, at his most powerful, written by certain people, is stronger than DBZ characters. But there's also depictions of Superman that are weaker than that. Like, the DCAU Superman is probably about as strong as Saiyan Saga characters, so just differs. I don't really have a preference. I guess a well-written Superman story is better, but like those don't come around that often. How did you come up with the name Cuddle Boss? Are you sure you're not a boss that wants to cuddle? The Cuddle Boss came from it's an obscure reference to a Neopet pet that I had, and I like cephalopodic creatures, and I'm like, I want, like, a reference as a name, but I also want something that sounds like I might be in porn. And I do like cuddling. Cuddling is fun. What's your favorite anime? I don't watch a lot of anime, but Cowboy Bebop. Gun Gray's pretty good too. What do you think if they made a video game about courage? Is it gonna be a kid's game, or it'll be too scary for such a thing? Alright, Courage at its core is a kid's show. Like, there's, like, scary elements, but it is for children. If they didn't make it a kid's game, that'd be kind of weird. Although, at this point, they could also just sell it for nostalgia. Like, I'm trying to think of something that does that. It's not coming to me. But, yeah, it'd have to be kid-styled, because, you know, just look at it. Thoughts on Gravity Falls? My friend Hazel Shotgun, she was the original voice of Rosette. She recommended me watch it, and I actually watched the first episode, and it was really good, but for some reason, I just never got to watching the rest of it. Don't know why. When making Watcher of the 2000s, what was your inspiration, and what kind of genre of shows do you like? My inspiration was mostly Doug Walker and Noah Antweiler, and in terms of style, I wanted to go more towards, like, Red Letter Media. I like dry approaches to, like, these reviews. And my favorite genre of shows, probably just action series. I'm pretty easy to please at times. You gonna finish that? What, this? No. But you can't have it. Thoughts on Kingdom Hearts? Kingdom Hearts, I never played these games. I'm not too familiar with the story. It looks kind of silly to me. It's like, you don't cross over these Square Enix games with, like, Disney without it looking silly. But music's good. I like the music. I use the music in a lot of, like, the earlier little adventure stories I made when I was younger. But no, I'm not too familiar with Kingdom Hearts, so no comment. What channel do you think was better in their respective primes, Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon? Well, when would their primes be? Would it just be when I was growing up? Alright, I'm just gonna treat it like that because, you know, I'm egocentric. It was Cartoon Network for me just because, the shows, for one, they had more bite to them. Like, compare Danny Phantom to Courage, and you'll see which one has, like, more artistic value. And I just like the humor more in, like, series like Johnny Bravo over Fairly Odd Parents. I feel as if they use the animated medium better. I know people like Invader Zim and Avatar: The Last Airbender, but like those don't represent the majority of the shows. So I gotta side with Cartoon Network. What are you studying? History. I like history. What do you feel about the 5th and extremely short 6th season of Ed and Eddy? Well, the change in scenery I didn't actually have that much of a problem with, although the stories just weren't as memorable, but I don't think they were actually worse. I think it might have just been me growing up. But the art, yeah, it got a lot less striking looking and it looked more bland. What music do you like? I actually like listening to video game soundtracks. That's why you see so many of them in like the Watcher videos. I'm not too keen on like lyrical music unless I feel like the mood for it. It's not something I want to be listening to all the time, because when there's lyrics I tend to notice them and think about them, and that's not really what I want when I'm listening to music, because it's usually for when I'm focusing on something else but want something like relaxing or cool sounding in the background. Do you think Dragon Ball Xenoverse could be successful as an actual TV show with the setup it has? I'm not too familiar with Dragon Ball Xenoverse's setup. I kind of know the story involves like demons and they're messing with like the timeline. But why does that need to be a show? It's nice to have a Dragon Ball Z series after all this time, but they should just make new stories, I think. How did you come up with the Watcher in Space storyline? Well, that's kind of a complicated story. I wanted to do an arc all the way back to when I switched to the visual novel type style, because I thought I could do it in a more serious manner, because if you have like a micro budget little actor thing and like the main guy's playing a bunch of characters, it comes off as silly. The Watcher in Space storyline, why am I calling it that? Project 13 came basically when I met my friend Hazel Shotgun, who I've unfortunately lost contact with, but she actually linked me with the contact with my artist, Dave Hicks. And with that, we were able to develop this cool idea. I came up with it because I wanted something to go along with like a DCAU series I wanted to do. Well, not just DCAU, a bunch of the DC shows. And then something that could just look at tropes from like superheroes and like space operas and just demolish them. Plus, I wanted to come up with the idea before like reviewer arcs just became completely out of fashion. It might have been released by that time, but it was something I wanted to do at least once. So yeah, that's how I came up with that. Do you have any brothers and or sisters in your family? I have 2 brothers and they're both older than me, and they both live with me. Will you make another attempt at making a story arc? A while ago, I wrote an entire script for a second arc, and it was supposed to be like really lighthearted to contrast with Project 13. But I've run into a lot of issues, mainly because I don't have time, my artist doesn't have time, and the last 3 or so times I tried to get in contact with Serena Midori, the voice of Rosette, she's never gotten back to me. Plus, the story arcs, they're kind of out of fashion now. Might not ever get made. But it's written. I even got like Alex Rochin, the Autarch of Flame, to be cast as my villain. Damn it. Why don't you do your videos every week? I'm sure you have enough money to support yourself. How would you know if I had enough money to support myself? Anyway, the answer is, it's kind of complicated. Number 1 is, I personally have trouble focusing on multiple things at once. I was able to do Watcher while doing my school earlier because I had taken as much— Fuck, are you inviting me to play Dota right now? I'm sorry, I need to like— Okay, let's start over. Basically, the last time I tried to juggle all this work, I just made lackluster quality stuff, like my Scooby-Doo 2. I wasn't too proud of that, and I want to keep my video quality up. And another reason, like, it's hard to work on these things is there's a decent chance you just put it up and it gets taken down by the copyright bots, and that can kind of crush your morale after a few years of dealing with this. How are you? Fine, thank you. I wish I were a bird. Oh my god, that must have sounded so offensive. What have you been up to? Well, mainly studying. Lots of studying. In between studying, Dota 2 mainly. Can't do anything too thought-provoking. I go to community college. I could have went to a better college outside of high school, but I chose to spend my last years focusing on my channel. I had to study hard these last semesters in order to get to the colleges I want to. And as of this recording, I got into UCLA, yes! In Project 13, you told the story about how Wayne got his nickname. Does that have any base in reality, or is it something you made up for the story? It is something I made up for the story. I just thought it'd be an amusing little backstory quirk. You are the watcher. What wad your Y2K experiences like so young, I bet, but I bet a fragment is there. No fragments are there, unfortunately. Don't have much memory of my childhood. It was kind of rough, so things besides like cartoons, they ain't staying in this brain. Are there any Ed, Edd and Eddy characters that you dislike? Sarah, Jimmy, Kevin. In fact, one of those characters made it into my top 9, I think, most hated animated nostalgia characters. I recorded that, I wrote it, I've not edited it because that'll take too much time and effort for me at this moment. But yeah, Ed, Edd and Eddy, the characters are not always nice or mean, but those are the ones I dislike because like they are just not nice. They just remind me of a lot of kids who used to piss me off in my youth. But they were never written as monstrous children. They always felt like complete characters. So, Ed and Eddy, I don't really hate any of the characters. They're just, some kids are annoying. That's a fact. Oh, this one's in all caps, so I guess I'll shout it. What are your thoughts of Season 2 of TWD series? I don't watch The Walking Dead. What do you think are the best/worst DC animated movies? Not including the DCAU movies like Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, I've not seen them all, but out of the ones that I've seen, Under the Red Hood is the best, and Justice League Doom is the worst. Under the Red Hood has like a very engrossing story with a strong emotional core, and Justice League Doom is just like really boring. There's no dramatic tension after the whole failed implemented plan thing. Can you feel the love tonight? I don't know. I guess so. Love's a nice thing. What video did you have the most fun making or are the most proud of? The video I had the most fun making was actually the Neopets retrospective because no one had ever done like a look at a website like that, at least not that I'd seen. So I had like all these options on how I could approach it, and it was a whole lot of fun to write because Neopets was like a special experience to me, and for a lot of people, they enjoyed it too. It was a lot of fun to make. Plus, I actually got to record myself playing the games for the first time, and we all know how successful that is on this channel. The video that I'm most proud of, it's probably one of my 2 favorite top 10 lists. It was either the top 10 animated supervillains, because that was a challenge, and that felt really rewarding at the end once I got that out there. But the most difficult video to make, it was definitely top 10 nostalgic songs, mainly because I was also editing together Project 13 while in there, trying to weave it into the story. By the way, I had to arrange the sprites in every single frame, and every frame was like 70 megabytes in size. That used up so much computer space. Yeah, I just poured myself into that one. I poured parts of me into Wayne, and Wayne poured it into you, and it's a big old pouring party. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of both of those. Can't pick one. Do you read manga? Not really. Last manga I read was Naruto, and that was like, oh my god, that was like 7 years ago. What are you majoring in or plan to major in? Anything having to do with media? No. It's just history. I like history. What is an overrated movie in the last 3 years? The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I know that movie gets a lot of hate, but that's probably the dumbest superhero movie I've ever seen. Might be worse than Batman and Robin. And there's some nice romantic elements, but it's in the end it's still a horrible, horrible superhero movie. Like, I've never laughed so badly at a death scene. Did you enjoy the show Codename Kids Next Door? Yes, I did. And that's the last question. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me, just like my page on Facebook and be there for the next Q&A status. All right, that's all, folks.